What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to the True Gamer Podcast, the podcast hosted by two gamers for you, the True Gamers. I'm one of your hosts, Eddie, along with my bro, the inverted gamer himself, Sheps. Bro, how you doing today?
Good, until I just got in my own head. I remembered you and me are opposite each other, but on the video we're next to each other, and I went like this, which doesn't mean anything to me. I should have gone like this because you're on one of the sides. So I'm in my own head now.
If you manage to nail that one day, like, you know, the which way you're supposed to be pointing for the camera, I'll be very, very surprised because I'm thinking about it now, and I've got like the trigonometry thing flying around. Like, which way is it? What are the angles? I don't know what's going on. So if you nail it, hats off, man. I'll never be able to get that. But yeah, you're doing okay, yeah?
Yeah, I'm doing good. What are you saying?
I'm doing good. Only one thing is that a little bit disappointing in terms of gaming and whatnot.
Yeah.
I feel like I got a little bit busy with other interests in my life.
Yeah, same.
And it's almost as if gaming has taken a break because there is very little news.
Yeah.
Like, Microsoft haven't done anything dumb in a while. PlayStation haven't done anything dumb in a while. Neither have done anything exciting in a while.
Yeah.
It's just been sort of like,
It's because so also a little bit of the world, like illness, some things didn't line up. We had to take like twice we've had to do we'll do it next week sort of thing, and we're bi-weekly, is that right?
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
And usually the gaming news waits until we're done and I'm 45 minutes driving in the wrong direction to drop. But since all of that's like happened, dead. It's just dead.
It's just been dead.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of me thinks, well, at least nothing's getting worse.
Yeah.
Right? Right?
Well, in terms of things getting worse.
Oh, fantastic.
We do have two things to speak about.
Great.
That are unfortunately things getting worse. I'm so sorry to have to tell you all about that. But before we get started,
yes,
I just want to thank our super bro who supports over at patreon.com/Conbrosations. Our boy Sheps is crusty right now. Thank you so much.
God damn it. God damn. Talking of support, by the way,
yes,
I've been streaming on Twitch, not gaming, but more like the Python stuff, which is, you said you've been like gaming sort of taking a back seat.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like for me, the Python stuff is my new gaming.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Because you tried to gamify it, you said.
I kind of have. And so it is sort of my new gaming. And people are really supportive over there.
The internet?
I know, it's
supportive?
crazy. Not people are positive. There's like 3 subs. And bearing in mind, like I'm a guy brand new to a field on a site. I'm not like, this isn't going out to our YouTube with like 1,000 subs or 7,000 subs or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's just like a channel where a guy does a thing.
Yeah.
And like I got regulars. Support, man. It's crazy.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that for you, bro. Yep. I really am happy to hear that something cool going for you. Really, and thank you for the community for being supportive of Sheps. I don't want to be trying to jump in and try and share your limelight here.
Go for it.
But I'm going to announce something right here. So by the time this goes live, which will probably be Sunday,
hey, buddy,
it should be up. And I have officially started a woodworking channel.
Yeah, buddy. What did you call it?
Eddie's Wood. I had to go for it. It was so close to being Eddie's Wood Shop. And then in the banner, I was going to put Eddie's Wood Shop. It was going to be that. But I put up a couple of polls out on Instagram, Twitter. Everyone said, go for Eddie's Wood.
My vote
girl said Eddie's Wood. I was like, that's it. I'm doing it.
My vote was polishing my wood with Ed. Or something like that.
Unfortunately, my missus didn't like that.
Or just polishing my wood.
She didn't like the idea of someone else polishing my wood, so she vetoed that one.
I know.
But it's officially starting, and I have half edited my my first video that's going to go up there. So if you guys go and search for it by now, either you'll see the channel trailer. Well, not this second because it's not. But you can find the channel.
Wait. Have you made the channel yet?
I've made the channel.
Well, you're missing Today is 420. That would have been a good time to make the channel.
Oh, shit.
And also, what about other channels that you've made with great dates?
I'll delete and start again.
You should. Just delete that channel. Actually, you can't because the name will be gone now, thanks to YouTube's policy. But why didn't you start another one on, I don't know, let's say 9/11? Hey Siri, when are the most famous terrorist attack dates?
God, don't say that. No, we don't need that to be in the CIA database.
So you've got your first video underway.
Yes, first video, and it should be up by the time you guys hear this on Sunday. It's the first part of my TV unit cabinet that I'm building for the man cave, and it's essentially a bunch of glue ups and telling you what the hell I'm doing and stuff like that. I think it went pretty well, actually. It went pretty damn well.
Is it spoilers to ask what you're going to be working on, or like, do you have? No,
not spoilers at all. It's I mentioned it in the first video I'm making. It's essentially like a TV unit my TV hangs on the wall.
Yeah.
So it's going to go underneath it. Yeah, this one here. So it's going to go underneath it. So technically it's not a TV unit because the TV is not on it, but it's above it.
Yeah.
And it's going to have like the PlayStation in it. It's going to have maybe one of my collectibles in there. And it's going to have like a shelf for like Blu-rays and games and stuff like that. And then maybe some LED strips like built into it and things like that. So kind of basic. It does have some functionality in it and some cool features, like the LED strips are going to be like recessed into it. So I'm going to like route out a bit and stuff like that. It's going to be cool. But mainly, this whole thing is a learning journey because I am still an amateur for this whole thing.
Sure, yeah.
So everyone's gonna be learning with me, and I'm hoping to pick up some tips. And with the power of you guys, you're going to be able to go, when Ed says, oh, is staining better or painting? They're going to find 10 videos and they're going to send it to me and go, actually, staining's far better than painting, Boa, for this type of wood. And then I'll know, and then I'll learn a bunch of things, and we'll go on this journey together. I think it'll be quite cool. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited, man. That sounds like it'll be good fun, and also similarly sort of gamifying your own hobby.
Yeah.
You know, where like we both like content. Ironically, the exact opposite things. I prefer live. You prefer the what do you call that? Like static, curated. Yeah, like you like that. So I went to Twitch. You've gone for YouTube videos. Like it's a hobby of ours to do the thing that we're doing anyway. So that'd be cool, man.
My dream is that my hobby turns out to make my hobby turns into making these videos, the types of videos that you watch at 3 a.m. in the morning when you can't sleep.
Perfect. What you'll need to do then is let the comments talk you into doing something that's way over your head, like fully like a scale hand carved model of like the Taj Mahal,
the Resolute desk.
Yeah.
Guys, today we're gonna be making the Resolute desk.
yeah. Or like find your favorite scene from like a Superman movie and make everything that's made out of wood in that scene. You know. But then make it scale for your figurine, you know? Like, that's the sort of thing, you know? Or, like, unironically, those dioramas, you know, the little things, those are pretty cool. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
And, bro, there was a guy that made, do you know Howl's Moving Castle? It's like the Studio
I saw that movie.
Yeah. Somebody made the moving castle out of, like, water bottles and tissue boxes and stuff.
Damn.
And it looks sick. I mean, in fairness, they're obviously a very talented painter, but this is a gaming podcast, I swear, but
sometimes
hobbies, isn't it? But you could totally make stuff like that as well, and it would be super interesting, and it would totally fit the I'm building things thing. Also, of course, you have to make everything out of copper pipes at some point.
At some point, there has to be, right?
That's such a niche joke. There's like 2 people that know that, and it's you and me.
I remember that.
Anyway,
gaming, sir.
That's right.
Let's kick things
news
off with our first topic, which is Star Wars Outlaws. This is a new Star Wars game coming from Ubisoft. We got it teased about 2 years ago,
and
then sort of like silence for all that time. And then we got a massive blowout. It was like, oh, here's a trailer. Here, the pre-orders, they're up. It's coming out in August. It's like, oh shit, it's right here. And it looks okay. I mean, it's Star Wars, so it has the potential to be good or has the potential to be bad. It's one of those franchises.
Yeah.
It is from Ubisoft, so there's a high chance it will be bad.
it looks aggressively okay.
Yeah.
You know, that's sort of the vibe.
Huh.
Right. Yeah, I think I put a tweet out after seeing the trailer saying something like, I don't think I'm interested in this game. Not from, like, I think visually it looks great. And I love the idea of the outlaw bounty hunter type sort of setting. Like, it's cool to be a Jedi and a space wizard, but what about if you're just a regular guy trying to make your way in the world? Yeah. And this is a great place to do that. But I'm getting really, really strong Jyn Erso in the worst way possible vibes from the main character, and very much Han Solo's dead, so like his Han duo. Yeah, I made it funny. You did all the work.
You made a funny joke there. You did it. You did it. It's a good one.
But the thing with her, because she's the second one, and Han was on his own, so he was.
Yeah, that bit I get. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was the one. Like in music, if you are on your own, you're a solo.
Right.
Because he was on his own, he was solo. But she's the next one, and 1 + 1 is 2. 2 would be a duo. Like the problem is,
you don't act like this when I do the joke. This is unfair. When I do the joke, you're like, yeah, but I get it.
The problem is,
see, when you do it, I'm all like, oh my God, tell me more.
When I do it, it's few and far between. You do it like every bit is one of the bits. All right, next time, I promise.
Thank you.
Next one.
Is it too much to ask?
You better lean into it. This better be a good bit.
Is it too much to ask my friend?
Oh, wait. You thought we were friends? I was going to say like work colleagues at best.
Was that my mistake?
Work acquaintance. You've been downgraded from colleague to acquaintance.
Ooh, so tell me the truth. If we didn't meet here, would we be friends?
Sure, do you think, of course.
Do you think about me when we're not at work? Do you that's what I'm asking you.
When we're not at work.
Do you think about me when we're not around?
No comment. For God's sake, what were we talking about? What were we talking about? Star Wars.
Star Wars. You said aggressively okay.
Looks aggressively okay. I get strong Jin. God damn it. Strong Jin Erso vibes from DMC.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I do get this impression that they reshot some of the scenes that Han had. It's in there. The problem is, you're telling me, hey, look, she's basically Han Solo, right? And we were never told Han Solo was male Han Solo. We learnt about Han through the movies. Like, we saw he was an outlaw that was no good. Our first interaction, he price hikes Ben Kenobi, right? Because he realizes that he's in need. So he price gouges, specifically to pay off a debt that's way overdue with a gangster, and then murders the guy that's come to collect, who he already has beef with. Like, that's the guy that we meet. We're not told, hey, this is an outlaw. Like, we see him doing it. And then he goes and meets Jabba and tries to smooth his way out. Like, we see all of it. We learn about it. And this time we're being told, hey, she's like Han Solo. And, well, why can't just have her be like Han Solo?
Yeah. As I said, it seems okay-ish.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
We'll have to play the game to know for sure whether or not things are done
I hope it's
decently.
Good. I want it to be good.
I hope so too. I mean, Star Wars can get a lot of heat sometimes, and I don't like it because I do like Star Wars.
Me too.
I always think of Star Wars. I always think of the good moments and stuff like when I go to think back about it. And I'd like to have more good Star Wars stuff out there. It can't just be Jedi Fallen Order. Surely not.
The reason people get so angry about Star Wars, including us, and so disappointed is because of how well loved it is.
Yeah.
Like, we mostly all just love Star Wars, and the reason that we get wound up about these things is because we love it so much. And then you see the thing that you love get butchered by people that, I didn't watch the movies because I wanted to take my own spin on it. No, that's exactly not what you should do, right? Like, you're carrying the torch, so you should know where you've come from, and it's okay to go in a different direction or to explore a different unexplored area, but know what you're about,
Yeah.
So I want it to be good. I want all Star Wars stuff to be good because I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
But like you said, I think you started it saying it looks okay.
Yeah.
And that is sort of a problem, especially with forgetting my personal feelings about Ubisoft. They are supposed to be a AAA studio.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
Right? They are supposed to be bringing out, and they do have in their roster some of the best games. I mean, it's been about 15 years since they made them, but they do have some of the best and most well-known titles of all time. So I would hope that they can do it. If Respawn manage, which are still a relatively new company, right? Although have a lot of pedigree in their talent, they managed to make Fallen Order and Survivor, and those are both great. You know, so I would think, you would hope that Ubisoft has the talent, has the team to make something good.
Well, it's not a good start.
Oh, fantastic.
Because
is it an open world?
With the maybe, I think it is actually. You know, let me just double check.
With 700 hours to complete.
It might actually. I think it is an open world game. Honestly,
it's not necessarily bad. The problem is Ubisoft made everything open world to follow The Witcher, and like it wasn't the fact that The Witcher was open world that made it good. It was the fact that it was The Witcher that made it good. Yeah, and it happened to be open world. Yeah. You know.
So with the announcement of the release date and the trailer drop and stuff like that, we got the pre-orders go up for Star Wars Outlaws.
I did see this.
And there are multiple different versions that you can pre-order if you choose to, starting from the standard version, which is $69.99.
Nice.
The standard price now for video games. With that, if you pre-order, you do get some pre-order bonuses. It's called the Kessel Runner bonus. It looks like a special type of ship and a hover bike of some sort.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I will say this leads back to the look, Han Solo, Kessel Run. Like, come on, you're not Han. Don't try to be Han as well. Like, that's not.
I want to see, first of all, the game in order to know whether or not she's not going to be. It's clear that that's what they're trying to pull on.
Yeah.
But why do you have to pull on Han Solo at all?
Yeah, exactly.
Why can't you just make a cool character yourself and whatnot?
Exactly. That's what frustrates me the most, and I'm a little worried just from the naming
Unfortunately, this is a Star Wars thing, though. They always try to pull everything back from the previous, like the original trilogy, the prequels and stuff like that, just so they can try and piggyback and try and get people in through the door, which always makes me scared because it's like, they're trying to get me through the door, and once I'm in. I can't leave now. They've got my money.
I've paid the entrance fee.
Exactly, and that's it. Anyway, and speaking of entrance fees, Star Wars Outlaws Gold Edition, which is the second tier. For this, you get your hands on the game.
That's good.
3 days early access and a season pass for $110.
I'm just going to say
just jump $40.
For probably an extra tenner, I can get my hand on the game 2 days early.
Right. The 3 day early access thing is so... You know why they've done 3 day early access? Do you know why this is all started? Because creators, there are tons of them out there now. 3 days early is totally worth it to get all those videos up before and get all that engagement and stuff like
how to get the secret pet, how to do this puzzle solved.
And like $40 isn't so much of a big thing for them.
Yeah.
So really, they're just trying to cash in on all the creators to be like, let's see if we can get some of that creator money and come over here. The season pass, $110, which for me is already insane.
That's
I can't imagine paying $110 for just the game. Yeah. Not like game and a statue, game and a book, game and I don't know what else that comes with it. Just the game.
And a bit early. Yeah.
Nuts. And then there's the final edition. Star Wars Outlaws Ultimate Edition. If you want to be an Ultimate Outlaw.
Yeah.
You'll get Season Pass.
Yeah.
Game 3 days early.
Yeah.
A digital art book.
Wow.
Digital art books are just useless. They're completely pointless.
I genuinely want to see the stats of how much time has been spent in those things. Like I have that one for The Last of Us. I remember going through it once, being like, man, this is really cool. And then never touching it, and I've played The Last of Us 7 times.
I was gonna say physical is art always has to be physical. Yeah, I went and bought this book for the Rebel Moon art and stuff like that, and it's got the the storyboards they've drawn and stuff like that. That's interesting to look at in your hand. On a screen, it's worthless.
I agree.
On a screen, it's worthless. And the fact that you're paying the top dollar for this one, with it you also get the Rogue Infiltrator cosmetic bundle, the Sabak Shark cosmetic bundle as well with that. All of that for $130. $130, nearly twice the price of the base game. And all you get in there is a couple days early, a digital art book, and a few skins.
Yeah, I don't... That doesn't sound like it's worth it to me. And worse, it sounds like it's a cash grab. You know, there's a bit of a parallel to this. A lot of businesses are just like, we're doing away with work from home. You know, work from home was a big thing during COVID, and everybody loved it. People are more productive. But the businesses have rents to pay and stuff, so they want people back in the office because they're locked into these things. So they're like, yeah, it's going away, like it or not, right? And I kind of feel like this is what's happening with gaming. Larian comes out, brings out, I'm gonna say probably the best game ever made at this point overall. Like maybe not my favorite game. I think maybe The Last of Us or God of War speaks to me a bit more, but just absolutely incredible. Easily the successor to The Witcher. Easily, right? This generation's Witcher 3. Twice, doubled. For like, I think it was $50 or something. It was ridiculously cheap. That game, I'm 60 hours in and I'm about 2/3. It's going to be a 100-hour playthrough, and I already have 2 or 3 others that I want to do next. Like, it's incredible.
You've seen points where you're like, I want to go the other way. I want to see what happens when you do that.
Absolutely. Or like romance a different character, or what happens if you romance this character and switch to another character, or like what happens with this one key decision, or is it a key decision? Who knows, right? That, and by the way, it's a style of gameplay I don't enjoy. Like, you know,
somehow you're still into it.
It's not my preferred way to do that thing, but it's incredible at a reasonable price, and it came out working. The reason it came out working, by the way, if you don't know, it was in early access. I think it was the first half of the first act was playable, so I think 10 or 15, somewhere between 10 and 20 hours was playable.
Yeah.
And they just had people play it for 2-3 years and see, okay, what's getting used? What didn't work? What's breaking? And then just applying that to the whole game. And then, by the way, when it came out, they rewrote the whole of that first act. So everybody that had played it got a brand new first act, you know? But that is the high valley. That is the high watermark. This is how it should be done. Yeah. And then you see games like, and companies like Ubisoft saying, well, we've got a well-known IP. Let's try and coax all these people in by referring to Han Solo constantly. Let's have these 3 different prices. You get hardly anything extra for this. It just, if all of the companies just agree that they don't care about Larian's approach, they kind of do have a monopoly on the industry. Like, it's not easy to go and make your own game. Yeah, indie exists, but it's years in the making. Yeah. It's, you know, like the big titles, anyone getting Star Wars, they get to set the pace. And it bothers me that you'd basically double the price for a gigabyte or less of PDFs, some skins, which, like, I mean, great, but who cares? With a brand new IP, it seems like a Han Solo remake. Which, by the way, the story in the ad doesn't sound compelling to me.
That's all, like all games are, unfortunately. Yeah. That's something that we have to judge when it comes out.
Yeah.
And any game can fall victim to that. It could have been a Larian situation with Baldur's Gate. It only just turned out to be that it was amazing because they did good work. But 2 things bother me with this. One thing is that, you know, they're only gouging people with prices because it's Star Wars.
100%.
They're like, Star Wars is this big brand, and that's the only reason why they went over to Disney to be like, can we get Star Wars the license to make a video game so we can gouge people? Because it's like, I'm sure they're paying a ton for the license. I know it's Disney and they want their money back and stuff like that.
They'll get it back for sure.
But you know that it's more than the average. They're gouging more than the average game.
Yeah.
More than it would be for any license for any game, even if however much they paid. And that just bugs me a little bit. But also, what has gaming become that on top of every game has to have a season pass now, every game has to have this early access bundle that you can buy. Why does it have to have so many tiers? Why is it okay? Why are we okay as customers now with having so many things broken up into separate pieces where everyone doesn't get to enjoy the same game anymore? Like, for example, there's in this season pass, it was it was an Insider Gaming website went and asked questions like, what kind of stuff is in the season pass and stuff like that. And one of them is a Jabba the Hutt mission. Like, one core focal mission that, like, every Star Wars fan would love to play because it's part of, like, the nostalgia of Star Wars, and they've locked it behind a season pass. And you know the only reason why they told him was because they want to advertise that it's in the season pass so they can gouge more people to get the season pass. And instead, to me, it just feels like it's like, So you're locking the good stuff built away unless I pay you even more.
Yeah.
Like $70 wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Even more. I have to go 100 plus in order to get anything good.
And here's the other thing. A piece of this puzzle that you're sort of overlooking is it's not just Ubisoft that did us dirty like that and the industry moving in that way. We're games journalists. If that had been you or me, and we said, to tell us about the season pass, and they said, oh, cool, Jabba the Hutt. I would have gone, oh, so that's behind a paywall. That's kind of shitty, and that would be in the article and on the video. Like, why did you do that? Don't you think, like, that seems like that should be a core mission? Don't you think? Like,
what was the reason behind the decision to put such a nostalgic part of Star Wars behind an additional paywall above the purchase of the game?
Where's that question being asked by someone? So, like, it's the people that make the games are just agreeing that, well, we're not going to do the high value thing, the Larian-esque way of doing things. And then the people that report on it don't ask them the hard questions. Anyway, game journalists are a joke, but they're also part of the problem because, like it or not, that is where the majority of people get their news, is from this stuff. And if they don't mention it, or they just continue on going, oh, that's really cool, like 9 out of 10 people are just going to go, oh, cool, well, they think that's normal.
Yeah.
So that's normal. That isn't normal. That shouldn't be normal. You know? It's really frustrating. It's really frustrating.
It really sucks. It really sucks. And honestly, it's... And I'm sure there's people listening are thinking the same thing. It's put a sour taste in my mouth for this whole game. Because where I don't like Ubisoft particularly, don't like their style of video games, there's a bunch of things in their company that I don't like, I would have been like, all right, it's still a video game though.
Yeah.
And I'll try a video game because it's a video game.
And we've loved their products in the past. We loved The Division.
Exactly.
Like, we really enjoyed that.
Like, the people there being annoying doesn't mean like the higher ups, the CEO or something like that, doesn't mean anything to the product that's made afterwards.
Agreed.
That's completely separate. I was thinking about trying it, but this just stuff like this.
Yeah.
Like, I want to try the Jabba the Hutt mission, but there's no way in hell I'm paying $110 for a video game.
It's what, so we're advocates of, like, one, you know, it makes sense that games cost what they cost, and two, also game sharing, right? Like, on PlayStation as an example, I feel like it's probably not worth the $70 at this point, to even if we're game sharing, and it's absolutely not worth the additional stuff. Also, what happens, and the problem is I don't trust it. If you have this sort of mindset going into things, which it's clear that they planned out this sort of stuff, I don't trust that those missions will blow me away anyway. I think they'll be not placeholder, but just sort of there as well, you know? And I'm not paying 100 plus for there as well. You know, and I would pay good money for great games. If I, knowing what Baldur's Gate 3 is, would I pay 110 for it? Yeah, I would.
And it does say something about the how confident they are in terms of, like, the game itself and whatnot. Because, for example, Helldivers. When Helldivers CEO was asked about, like, microtransactions and things like that, he was like, let's just focus on making the game good first of all, and then afterwards we'll do that. That's the sign of somebody who thinks they've got a good game on their hands, who's put their heart and soul into a game, and thinks they're proud of their product. And they're confident in the fact that when people play it, they'll be happy enough that even if it comes at a later date, they'll give more money if they choose to. With this, you could have easily put the stuff in the season pass and whatnot, come out a week later, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, a month, whatever it is, right? If the game was good and people were interested in it, the moment you drop some DLC, they'll be like, oh yeah, let's go for it. But the fact that you're putting it at the front before anyone has any chance to see anything, it's like you're trying to get me in before I see what's going on, and then I have no choice. Then you've got my money already. It just stinks to high heaven.
I get the impression it's the school of thought that goes, make the first 10 hours as good as possible. They pile all their time into those first 10 hours to get around, for example, Steam's refund policy, right? And then after that, it just gets kind of mid, you know? And then overall people go, oh yeah, well, it was pretty good. But actually, no, it wasn't pretty good. The beginning was pretty good. It got really sucked you in. And then it just turned off. It became meh. And that makes a game shit, actually. It's not a meh game. It's a shit game if it does that to you. And if you make those first 10 hours incredible, the likelihood that most people are going to go past their return policy on whatever, whether it's physical or online, is pretty high.
Yeah.
And then just to do that up front, I don't like it. You know, it says, hey, we can probably make extra sales because it's Star Wars, so let's milk it. And then when they find out that it sucks, they'll go, oh yeah, well, it was okay. You know? And that bothers me. That's not the right way to do it. Like you said with Helldivers, people will come back to it and they'll want to give you money for a good product that does the right thing. Like, and by the way, I think Helldivers should open their store sooner rather than later. You know? And I'm pro microtransactions if it's done properly. I.e., you give everybody, and I'm not a big Fortnite guy, but they do it correctly. You have full access to the whole thing. And you can cut, and for relatively cheap, for just like the battle pass, the standard get the thing level up. One, you can make enough in-game currency to rebuy the battle pass, so you don't have to buy it once. And two, there are some okay skins in there. The best stuff, yeah, you have to pay for. But if you're enjoying the game enough, like, is it worth it? Well, yeah, if you're enjoying the game enough, right? Like, that's an okay that's a good model. I want to have a game like Helldivers, which I don't play yet, where they have stuff in there, and the guys that are loving it, yeah, they can just give them money for cosmetics. You know, if it is just gun reskins and armor packs and stuff like that, something that doesn't really affect the game, but just makes you look cool, lets you stand out a bit, right? Has a couple of, like, maybe you get Rico somewhere on your armor, you know, so just something, whatever it might be. Perfect. Because it doesn't affect the game. It's not pay to win. There's no barrier to entry, but I get support. I get to support you. And by the way, the only game I'm really playing is Baldur's Gate 3 at the minute. What I would love is for them to put in reskins for all of, like, the main characters and, like, the notable NPCs.
Yeah.
I would buy those. I would buy a Karlach pack, you know, where you could change, like, maybe her horns or her hair, whatever it might be. I would buy those things.
Is anything going to be more sexier than what she is right now?
I mean, maybe they have her, like, what I would love is a muscle mummy scale up. So by the end of it, she's just like, just a walking, you know, you see those cows that have the gene thing where they're all muscular.
Yeah, they're just muscle at every single place. I didn't even know that muscle existed on a cow.
Her biceps have abs, you know, stuff like that. You know, which, by the way, I did do this in game, sort of. So you can there's a spell called Enlarge, and there's a potion of giant strength, I think it is. And so, mate, she was like, I literally came up to her hips. It was incredible. I was like, this is death by snoo snoo. I would not survive this, but I would definitely try it.
I'd give it a shot.
Anyway, I would love to give Larian just for cosmetics. By the way, it's sad they're not going to do any DLC for that, but just to reskin stuff, I would totally do that.
Yeah,
I want to do it. In fact, people are asking, they're like, you should set up a page where we can give you tips because the game wasn't expensive enough. People are saying that. Why? Because they way over delivered. The game's incredible. We want to give people making good stuff money, right? And the developers are saying stuff all the time. They're like, oh yeah, well, we have shareholders, we just don't think about them. That's what the lead dev for the game said when he got I think it was a BAFTA or something. It was a game award, and he was like, yeah, I mean, we just believe in making the best game for our gamers, you know. Like,
that's cool.
That's how it should be. And that's how, if I was a shareholder, I would want it. Make the best product. I want to buy shares in the company that makes the best product, not the company that, like, worries about shareholder value. If you make the best product, you'll have the best shares value, right? Like, just make good stuff. Just make good stuff. Yeah. Just make good stuff. Yeah. It's really frustrating. And this sounds like you said, it's just a cash grab to use the Star Wars name, some iconic stuff to get everything paid for up front.
It reeks of just cash grab to me.
Hopefully we're wrong. Hopefully we're just jaded.
Mate, yeah, that's what I would love to find out. That, you know what?
We were totally wrong.
You're being way too harsh. Yeah. You need to get your head knocked about a little bit to reset, because it's not all like that.
Cool. Maybe that Jabba the Hutt mission is 10 hours long, directly impacts the main game, where if you do it, it gets referenced constantly.
Yeah. And it's worth the price of admission.
Yeah, maybe absolutely.
Like, there's 4 of them in that season pass, and they're all like 10 hours long.
I wouldn't put money on it.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the case, and then we'll be wrong, and I'll be happy to be wrong.
I've been around this roundabout enough to know that I'm not going to put my money down for that.
Yeah.
But
if that's the case, I'll be more than happy. I love to be wrong about these things. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I would love to be wrong about that. Do you want to tell people if they haven't noticed? I think it's in shot.
Oh, is it?
I think it is. Yeah, it is.
What I was looking at was actually, I've just realized that camera's way lower than this one, so everyone's getting like an upshot. They're getting to see up my skirt. But yeah, we'll talk about this on the Combros podcast. But I got a signed copy of Justice League Steelbook.
Who signed it, by the way, bro?
None other than Sir Zachary Snyder.
Schneider.
That joke is never gonna go away. I was like, Zack Schneider. Yeah. And I spelled Zach wrong as well, just to be like, I'll do the other Zach.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my prized possession right now. Anyway, we'll talk all about that and how I almost had a fight at a comic book store. Let's talk about that.
Okay. I don't know.
It sounds really nerdy, isn't it? Comic book store, 2 nerds go fighting. Yeah, let's do that.
No, she's my waifu. You can't have her.
No, this isn't objectification. This is appreciation. That's what that is. Anyway, speaking of Larian Studios, as we have been speaking and you've been talking about DLC and further content and stuff like that, recently they did announce that Baldur's Gate 3 is the last of their D&D games that they're going to be making. After that, they're going to be moving on entirely. Which upset a lot of people because it was just so fantastic. I mean, we've got the game. It doesn't mean the game's taken away from us and we can still enjoy it. But it is a not. I don't think sad is quite the word. Maybe it's like close to sad. Yeah. Feeling that such a great studio who produced such a great game is choosing to go in a completely different direction to their future and stuff like that. It's a moment and a moment to remember.
My understanding of what happened there, which could be wrong, but I think this is accurate, is that it's either Wizards of the Coast or Hasbro. One of them owns sort of D&D, and they basically pushed Larian and they were like, no, we're not going to go against our values because you want to make more money. We're going to either make what the incredible product that we made or we're not going to do it. And they went, well, yes, you are. And they said, no, we're not. And they didn't compromise on their values. That's the basic upshot.
Yeah, that's it. That's where I was going with this, is that they Hasbro announced that they are going to do another Baldur's Gate game, and it's not going to take another 25 years for it to come out. Yeah. But based on internal conversations, Larian Studios is out.
Yeah.
And
it's because they pressured them.
Yeah.
My understanding is they pressured them for like more profits and just basically to churn out another one. And they were like, well, that's not what made this one so great. Mm-hmm. And so they broke out, not broke out, but they separated, which means that they won't be doing any DLC for Baldur's Gate 3, which is very sad because the game is incredible. Could easily not benefit, but you could easily work in DLC easily, and it would be incredible if it was to the same standard. I mean, similarly to, I've been saying Baldur's Gate 3 is basically The Witcher 3 for this generation. The Witcher 3 has by far the best DLC I've ever seen. Heart of Stone and Blood and Wine are incredible.
Quality.
Absolutely incredible. And I expected that Larian could do easily the same level to Baldur's Gate 3
I think they could.
standards, which is very sad.
Yeah.
Because the game, from my understanding, like they're still working on some stuff. Like there are more evil endings that they're adding.
Interesting.
Some characters like didn't have happy endings, for example. Like they've just doomed basically if you took them all the way to the end or romanced them, whatever. Right. And I believe they're changing that to give more options. But they're done. They're not going to do anything extra, which is really sad.
Yeah.
That is sad because the game is absolutely phenomenal. I just hope Larian have something good up their sleeve that they want to go for.
Yeah, the way you'd think a smart person would be like, we've had other ideas sort of in the background.
Yeah.
And then they went, nah, we're just, forget you guys. This is just, we can tell from the beginning this is going to be bad. Yeah. So we're just going to go off somewhere else and do this other thing that we're kind of passionate about. So we'll go over there. But yeah, Hasbro's saying that they're actively looking for, in talks with lots of other partners to try and make the next of the Baldur's Gate franchise. But you have to imagine that it's not going to be anything even close.
Well, we know for a fact it won't be.
Yeah, because the type of work ethic, the type of morals that the developers had in all of this,
shipping the game when it's ready, is something that hardly anyone's ever done. Naren were the only ones to do it pretty much, especially in the recent memory. And here's the thing that you probably wouldn't know because you're not in the D&D space is Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro have been working to kind of ruin D&D.
Really?
Yeah, it's way worse than it's ever been.
Damn.
Because they're trying to lock everything behind paywalls and stuff. They're trying to make everything digital. There's a big push to make everything digital. Everything is a module. Everything is an extra thing you have to buy.
Right.
They have these incredible tools. D&D Beyond is a great tool. You can just go on, you can make a character. You have a character sheet there. It's even got dice on there, so if you don't have to buy dice. And only a few basic modules are on there. If you want anything else, you have to purchase them, which is fine. I'm not necessarily against paying for a product, but every little thing is a microtransaction. They're trying to make even more segmented.
Yeah.
And they're getting away from the core audience, meaning that the focus is less on getting people to tell good stories and work within the rules and build a world on their own and more you have to use our stuff. It doesn't matter if the story's any good. I'm not saying they make bad stuff, but there is this push away from what made it so good.
Right.
And the things that exploded D&D's popularity in, let's say, the last 10 years has been basically incredibly talented storytellers and voice actors putting it on YouTube and Twitch.
Critical Role and stuff like that.
Exactly, your critical roles. You guys who have been storytelling and acting their whole lives, who love the thing and make it incredibly engaging, and all the people that are playing it know how to make deep and interesting characters. And they're, on paper, they're the same as any other wizard or any other barbarian, right? But the way that it's played, the story that is crafted as an audience and as things move on, that's what made it so good. And that isn't something that you can put behind a paywall. So they're trying to make all the interesting ideas and missions modules that you have to purchase. And we want this extra fancy barbarian class, well, then you have to purchase it. And they're trying to push this idea that every character needs to be super special.
Right.
One of the things that makes D&D interesting, in the original setting, is you're a level 1 magic user, you're a level 1 fighter, and you end up over the course of a campaign going through these extreme things. You're a normal person set unusual tasks.
It's the journey that makes you kind of special rather than what you are.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having interesting new classes and stuff, but by trying to just throw new stuff at people, it bombards them with, oh, well, this is new, this is shiny. And it's you don't need an interesting character on paper. You need to make your character interesting.
Yeah.
Right? And people are forgetting that, and Hasbro's pushing basically for that, because it means the new wizard class is out, but it's $2.99 if you want access to the new spells and new this and new that, right? So I'm not convinced that the next Baldur's Gate game will be good, let alone, and I'm not trying to compare it to BG3 because I haven't played any other games. No. As a standalone, it's a new team. Baldur's Gate, by the way, isn't a franchise per se. In game, it is a location, right? So it's
right next to Gate 1 and 2.
Exactly. I mean, it'd be London's Gate 1, London's Gate.
It's the bridges in London,
right? Exactly.
London Bridge, Tower Bridge, which I don't know which one's which, by the way. Just
who knows? Who cares? But my point is Baldur's Gate. The whole purpose is here is a place, here's a known world in which you're going to set a story, right? And that makes it very open, because all you do is you skip backwards or forwards 100, 200 years, and then suddenly almost everyone, maybe the odd elf or demon or whatever is still around, you can have connections, but otherwise brand new adventure, brand new people, brand new issues, brand new groups, right? Sort of like Fallout.
I want to play Baldur's Gate right now.
It's fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. It's incredible. is absolutely incredible. Is also my main thing. Again, I don't particularly enjoy the way the game plays. It's fun enough, it's engaging enough, but it's the writing. At every level, the writing is excellent. It's just an incredible story. It's so engaging. So, like, yeah, it's a must play. But I'm not convinced that the next one will be any good because they'll try to do it that way, I think. Oh, you want this beloved character? Yeah, DLC. Or like a microtransaction, you know? Yeah. Anyway, sorry, it's two things I got very passionate about.
No, this is what it's all about. It's a gaming podcast to talk about gaming. Here we go.
Yeah. But Baldur's Gate is set, sorry, just to end this, as a franchise. It's similar to Fallout in that you could just set it anywhere in the world or country, you change the vault number, you come up with a new story, and it should work, right? Yeah. And the game will be as good as it is. As good as you make it, as good as you write it. Some Fallout games are incredible. Some not so much. Some have been fixed, who knows? But I get the impression the next Baldur's Gate game won't be standalone in a vacuum particularly good.
Yeah. Speaking of Fallout, we can go right into our last topic, which is Fallout the TV show, which apparently is fantastic. And you have been watching it, you said. Have you finished it?
Yep, I finished it.
You have watched it all. What a lad. Give us some spoiler-free thoughts. Tell us what it's all about.
It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah?
It's incredible.
I hear they lean into the video gaminess of it.
They do quite a bit.
Yeah? Like, I heard one thing about a stim pack.
Yeah.
That guy's mortally wounded, stim pack. Oh, I'm okay now.
Yeah, it's more like the stims in. It's more like the stims in Helldivers, where you get the impression it's probably more like morphine than anything else. But it's an easy way to be like, oh, by the way, this has bothered me. You need to watch it because there's a guy who you'll recognize. I forget his name. He's like a southern dude. Have you seen Justified or anything like that?
I feel like I have with Justin Timberlake, right?
No.
Oh, okay, something else.
Different game.
Completely different.
Anyway, they have he has a car and the door slides into the front panel.
Oh.
It's so cool. I'm in love with that car. Anyway, they lean into.
Where's the wheel go? Does it go into the wheel arch?
No, you have to watch it. Okay. Tell me if you clock it. But the writing for the most part is outstanding. There is one thing that the sort of the final scene makes the whole first event not make any sense really.
Okay.
But it's easy enough to get over, but it bothered me because it's not very slick, and the rest of the show was outstanding.
Right.
I would say it's probably a solid 9 out of 10, maybe higher. It's incredible, incredibly well acted.
Good to hear.
I'd say you've got like 3 main characters, right? And probably 2/3 are taken up by Lucy and Max. The other one is the guy I'm talking about, who's like a ghoul, who's like a bounty hunter type. He doesn't have the most screen time. Lucy and Max, incredibly well written, incredibly well acted. It's great. It's fantastic. It's a brilliant show. It leans into the game, but you don't have to have played or even know anything about the games at all to know what's going on, because it's not explained. You learn as you go through the show, right? It's fantastic. It's absolutely incredible.
That's great to hear. That really is great to hear, because we are very skeptical of these video game adaptations of movies. Rarely does it go very well.
Agreed.
It's either bad or forgettable.
We've been lucky in recent years. So The Last of Us TV show was outstanding as well. I do remember saying, I think, that when we'd heard about The Last of Us, I think I actually named Fallout at the time before we knew there would be a Fallout show, and said, I think a game like Fallout would be better for a show.
No amount of money could ever get me to remember things we've said in the past.
But Fallout is a perfect one to do for a show because it specifically starts with unnamed character, unnamed place, goes out into the world. You live in a vault, you go out into the world, discover things for yourself. Every single time that is the same, and every single time it's a different story, different path, whatever, right? So it's perfect to do with a show.
We named a couple that we said would be decent, and we did say Last of Us would be like pretty easy to do because it's just like humans, there's zombies, and as long as you do the story.
The problem is the story is finite.
Yeah,
because the thing that connects you to it is Joel and Ellie.
Which, all props to them, they nailed.
They absolutely nailed it. However, I don't see them doing The Last of Us Season 3. You know? And whereas something like Fallout lends itself to do it, so you get like Fallout, boom, right? You could do 2-3 seasons, let's say.
Entirely made up story, or whatever it is.
Exactly. And you end it, right?
Yeah,
and then you do Fallout 67. Backwards, right? So it comes out. And this time, unlike the game, it will come out good and working.
Oh, there we go. And will they sell us a canvas bag?
Story. You can do a brand new story, you know,
okay.
or you could do a one-shot Fallout series where it's done entirely in the vault.
Yeah.
Or you could do one where someone comes from the surface and goes down to the vault. There's all this stuff you could do with Fallout because the premise is person doesn't know what's going on, finds out what's going on, right? Like that's the whole point. So Fallout's perfect for that sort of thing. And the show's fantastic.
That's good to hear.
It's fantastic.
That is good to hear. One of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up was because soon we should be hearing, and if Bruno Vasquez, the God of War lead animator, I've forgotten which one he is and whatnot, but he's a God of War developer who's been talking a bit online. If we're reading his tweets correctly, his cryptic tweets, we should be hearing soon something about the God of War TV show. And it's the one that scares us the most.
I was going to say, it's easily the most scary because The Last of Us, we know can work, right? It has a very simple story to follow.
Yeah.
And it's a zombie apocalypse. They work. It's like 400 seasons of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Right? We know zombie apocalypses work. They're not too difficult. It's simple enough, right?
Yeah.
Follow the story. You literally follow the recipe. You can't go wrong. Xbox. Fallout, perfect one for it. It can be a brand new story, brand new vault, brand new person goes out into the world. Like that's the point, right? And it's post-apocalyptic. Again, similar vibe. It's basically a zombie apocalypse. Ultimately, done. This one though, I mean, first things first. God of War is 2 stories. You have 3 games in Greece, and then 2 games in the Norse saga. So which one's it going to be?
I can't imagine they go back. But even then, I mean, it does get a little more complicated. Do you reference it? Do you not? People might not have known about it, especially because it's a TV show. It's a completely new format.
Yep.
And do you know what scares me the most? This is a very technical way of thinking of something. But The Last of Us, pretty much a human story.
100%.
Humans everywhere. Some zombies, but they're essentially human form and whatnot. There's a bit of CG here and there that make things like look a bit more degraded and whatnot, but it's set in a world. There's not too much in terms of over-the-top stunts. There's like stunts jumping out of a window or something like that. That's cool. Fallout, I imagine it's probably similar stuff like that. Maybe I've seen the power armor one, which is a bit adventurous, I would say, a bit more adventurous than normal.
A lot of physical props. Zombie apocalypse type settings.
God of War, Kratos.
Specifically,
it's pretty much Superman.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do these massive jumps. You're going to have to do these lifting up huge boulders over your head. You have to do weapons. You're going to have to do punches against enemies that are 4 times bigger than him, 10 times bigger than him.
What about the Chaos Blades?
Chaos Blades, are you going to have to set those on fire? The VFX in this is going to have to be Man of Steel level.
Yeah.
And in TV shows, that's not easy, easy to come by.
Equally, you have a guy who is magical, ultimately, but his magic comes in the form of hitting stuff really hard with different sorts of sharp things. That's how his magic manifests, right? At least in the Norse saga, for the most part. And then that guy has to go up against people that use different kinds of magic, and you have to make ultimately hitting someone really hard totally viable as a magical form of attack. When you're not in a video game, which is not the easiest thing.
On top of it
visually, because you can feel it in the game. That's the big difference, right? You can feel that magic attack didn't really hurt you, and when you nail a harpy that's shooting magical arrows at you with the Leviathan axe, you know the difference.
And
it's just going to be a more difficult technical challenge, like you said.
Exactly. On top of it being something that's probably going to be quite expensive in terms of
it won't be cheap
practicals and visual effects and sets and stunt doubles and stuff like that. Choreographing it is an art form in itself, and planning all that out, shooting it correctly, it's a feat. And I'm just so scared on that front as well.
And realistically, like what made 2018 God of War so good is the father-son story, right? So that means they have to nail another child actor ultimately.
Don't say it like that.
Yeah, no. That's like the casting. They have to get the casting on point for another child.
Don't say it like that.
Okay, yeah, no, fair enough. Fair enough. No, yeah, I just, sometimes you open your mouth and stuff comes out, and you're like, oh, I wish it didn't come out in that order.
Damn, why did that happen?
Why did you allow that to come into existence? But like the talent pool for Ellie can't have been very big.
Yeah.
Right? And we're fortunate enough to have a child actor from Game of Thrones who's about the right age, about the right size, with the right talent. You're going to have to get an Atreus who can be both sick and powerful,
Yeah.
It poses many problems. Also, like, are you going to do Child Atreus, or are you going to go to the later story, which I wouldn't recommend? I don't know, man. Also, how much time are we going to spend? I think probably the way they do it is they flash back to Greece to establish who Kratos is and his history. Because I don't think that's the place to do the show.
No, no.
I think you could maybe do you do it in the reverse order to the way the game's released, where you do Norse Saga, and then you go, hey, this is like Kratos the early days.
Yeah, I think you'd have to do just flashback episodes or something like that in there. But then you run the risk as well of the writers of the show interjecting what they believe is what needs to be in the show. Yeah. I did put out a tweet. I was saying that, like, because we still haven't heard anything, and I'm just like, God, when's stuff going to get announced? And I was thinking about it, I was like, they have to surely be considered. Like, of all the actors that actually worked on the video game, Christopher Judge, I would love for him to be it. I would love him to be Kratos.
Yeah, or at least the narrator. He's got to be in it, surely.
Right, some sort of
Or this is the story of how I...
Exactly.
Yeah.
He has had some surgeries. He's getting on a bit.
Yeah, he's older.
Maybe he doesn't want to do it
Double
anymore.
Hip replacement.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe he's cool.
I mean, he's still in incredible shape.
Right.
Yeah.
Atreus, Sonny.
Yeah.
He's a bit older now. He can't really play the younger Atreus and whatnot. So, okay, he doesn't age up. Daniel Basutti, kind of prime Freya.
Yeah.
I think a bit of makeup and a wig and an outfit, perfect looking.
Yeah.
She played Freya. She has TV show experience. She has movie experience. She is the voice actor for the character. I feel like she has to be high up on the list of considerations.
You mean just like when they had Sam Witwer, who... You see what I mean? Like, you see where I'm going with this, right? Like, literally the guy. Do you know what I mean? So I get what you're saying. I'm like, oh, you know what? This makes a lot of sense. She knows the character. She's connected to the character. She is the voice of the character. Let's go with somebody new. You know?
Yeah.
Not to rub it in.
It's upsetting.
Yeah, so like, it's a strange one. Similarly, right? I think it'll be quite interesting because this does tie in. The Witcher obviously was a series of books, and then a game, and they're making the show out of it. The show's been a bit all over the place. Henry Cavill's incredible. Some of the changes they made a bit questionable. Now changing actor. I'm gonna try and watch it. I'm gonna try and give it a completely fair mind.
Me too.
Because these things do happen. And maybe it'll be incredible. Maybe the writing will continue to suck. I don't know how... And the reason I bring it up is you have somebody you've embodied as the thing. So like your Daniel Basutti. And then they change to a different person. Well, here we have somebody who is the character, and now they're changing that character. I wonder how well that will do. But you have to think that when they go with somebody, like not going with Sam Witwer as an example, that somebody that knows what they're doing had to have seen something else and go, okay, actually that is better.
Yeah, like a spark somewhere, and be like, oh, the way they did this was, I think we're going to go this way.
Yeah.
Not just because it's like, no, screw the old stuff, we're going to find someone new.
Right.
This is the best we could come up with.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Although I am a little bit worried where there are enough writers that go, well, we wanted to put our own spin on it. Like, no, why? It's good.
This is ultimately what went wrong. What goes wrong with a lot of TV shows, to be honest, not just The Witcher, but that's what's wrong with The Witcher is that everyone who...
Didn't they quite proudly announce that they had departed from the source material?
It's both. It's two things. One thing is kind of like understandable, and then the other thing is just stupid. One thing is like, who really wants to just copy what someone's done before? So especially when it comes to like a video game and whatnot, the writer got to do his thing there.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to impart your own thing, your own creativity, and make something that you think is awesome and go on like that.
Yeah.
And also, copying someone else is creatively kind of bankrupt and whatnot. However, this isn't something you're starting from the beginning, so it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, it's not a brand new IP.
Specifically, you're saying, I want to make the video game version of this thing, so the TV show of this video game. You can't say, I don't want to watch, I don't want to play, I don't want to watch it, I don't want to do anything like that, or the books or whatever it's going to be. And the other thing is...
Because otherwise you'd make something brand new, wouldn't you? Right?
Exactly. And I forgot what the other thing was, but it was also an equally important point that made sense, and you agree with me on that point.
Of course I do, yeah. Nailing child actors, right?
I don't co-sign on that. I'm not saying those words.
The thing that bothers me about that whole idea of like, oh, well, we wanted to put our own spin on it is you literally are by changing the media.
Yeah.
Right? That's your spin. And I don't care what anyone says. Video games and like TV versions of it, despite the fact that one's graphical and one's like live action, they are not the same. It is not the same thing. You can do a live action version of a scene and it's not the same. They're not the same thing. Just because the way you interact with it is totally different. I didn't get to play the character up to the point at which there's a cutscene. I'm just seeing a cutscene, right? It is different. I'm not engaged in the same way, which presents a totally different challenge. So that is your spin. It's taking The Witcher from the game to the screen alone. That's your creative spin. How good can you make that?
Yeah.
That's enough. Like, it should be enough, because that is an incredibly difficult thing to do. Incredibly difficult. You have to get the writing down, all the shots have to be right, the music has to be right, the timing has to be right, the way you visually tell a story that took us 60 hours to play in just 8 hours of screen time or less, right? The shots you pick, the actor, the adapted writing, because what are the bits that we're going to actually see and be told and experience, right?
Yeah.
That is it. It's so frustrating, man.
I know this might upset people because it will seem like defending these people who just choose to butcher the source material and whatnot. But I wonder if it's like, like in the fashion industry.
Yeah.
Shit's just garbage.
Yes.
It's all just utter nonsense.
Yeah.
They walk down the catwalk. It looks crap. The shit never gets worn by anyone.
Agreed.
And then that's it. And then they go home and that's that. And you think to yourself, like, why the fuck did you even bother? Because you made it for
everybody? Why are hundreds of people here spending thousands of pounds to be sat there?
And then you never see that thing again. It doesn't impact anything ever.
Yeah.
It's just there and it's gone. And then this was all just horse shit. This is all bullshit. And it's all trash.
He's a visionary. He made clothes out of dead rats and some bin bags. It's incredible.
But that at one point, it sort of got into its own cycle where, like, if you were ever a clothes designer and you made something that's good or like fairly normal but like good stuff, or maybe something quite trendy and fashionable, they looked to you and they were like, it's not even adventurous, it's not. It doesn't talk about society, it doesn't, and they say that bullshit and then they go off and they go do that. I wonder if it's the same thing in like writing, where like say like somebody did go, oh, I'm gonna make The Witcher in the book, but in a TV show, and they make it like true to the source material. It's like, where are the chances you've taken? Where have you made a commentary on society? Where have you done? And it's like, for fuck's sake! Now, and now they're all being gaslit in the same thing.
I see your question, and I raised you two of the most common lines in movies, which is, you have to see this, and also, well, that happened.
He's right behind me, isn't he? Oh, yeah.
Right? I raised you those. Also, that scream that was from that Star Wars that finds its way into everything. The Wilhelm scream, whatever it is. You know
what
the
scream?
One? In movies, that one. You know that?
Yeah.
You know the one. Everybody knows the one. Right? That.
Yeah.
So I know what you're getting at. Equally, some people are also just hacks.
Yeah.
And I think I think there are two types of hacks. There are the hacks that try to pretend that they're not hacks. Mm-hmm. And those guys do the he's right behind me, isn't he? Well, that happened. Yeah. Right?
The MCU, basically.
Right. And then you get the hacks that are just like, I'm going to act like everybody else doesn't get what I'm doing. And those are the guys that make the fashion runway stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you just don't get it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I think.
And the people on Twitter, like, you just don't get it, okay?
Yeah, you just don't get
it's supposed to be like this.
Yeah. Google it. You don't answer the question, just Google it. I'm not going to do it for you. What? Anyway, no, it's it'd be interesting to see. I think the God of War show, I would totally agree with you. It's the one that's most disconnected from humanity. So The Witcher is ultimately swords in a medieval time, and there's some monsters. Ultimately, right?
Yeah.
The Last of Us and Fallout. Post-apocalyptic.
A bit more fancy God of Game of Thrones.
Right.
In fact, probably in the same level, because there's magic in that as well. So
exactly. And there's no dragons per se.
Yeah.
And
it's just lightly spiced.
Yeah.
It's like a sprinkling here and there of magic, sprinkling here and there of like a creature. Same thing.
Exactly. And then what I feel like for God of War is happening is somebody's gone in, found all of the ingredients for a cake. They stick them in a bowl, put the little like that, and just shove it in the oven, and maybe we'll get a wedding cake out at the end. What I suspect will happen is you'll end up with bits of eggshell in your cake. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's possible that it comes out perfect.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I'm a little bit worried. It's the least human of the stories. There are two of the stories to tell.
Yeah.
You know, it's
and then there's casting issues and stuff.
Casting, yeah.
It's just a tough one. It's just a tough one that's gonna be hard to nail down.
Yeah, it will be hard to nail down.
Like your child actors.
you sound it. I don't know if it's worse. Are you gonna watch Fallout?
I think I will. I think I have to. That being said, I still haven't watched the last episode of The Last of Us.
I also haven't seen that either.
Yeah.
I got through 7 out of 8 episodes on the plane, and I was like, oh, I need to watch the last one, and then just haven't done it.
There's just no more planes. There's no more planes to watch.
I need to go on holiday.
The next holiday, I can finally
this
finish the last
episode cost me £1,000. But the show overall is good.
Yeah.
We know the show's good. Have you ever played the Fallout games, like really at all?
Not as hard as everyone else has. Like I don't have the same attachment people do to like Fallout New Vegas. People talk about constantly.
So yeah.
Like I played Fallout 4 and I had a half a good time with it.
It was okay. Fallout 4 was okay.
It wasn't the thing that was like maybe go. I get it, guys.
Yeah.
I get it. It didn't do that for me. So, but I didn't write everyone else off. I didn't say, oh, well, you guys were all dumb.
Yeah.
Which is the thing that happens nowadays, right? People don't get it from their first like 15 minutes and then they go, well, clearly you're all fucking dickheads and I'm the right one, okay?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't love Elden Ring?
Well. Or maybe you just didn't see the bit that they saw yet. Hold on.
It's just not your cup of tea.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I think you get the premise, though, which is... Yeah,
I can understand it for sure. Like even just
I think you'd really enjoy the show.
Just the synopsis of like Fallout in general, sort of like what was it? Is it they invented the transistor and they went heavily? There's like a
the tech side of stuff.
The tech side of stuff, like, and everything's still got those vacuum tubes.
Yeah, so it
kind of cool.
Basically, everything stayed analog, didn't really go digital. Yeah. But equally, they got really good with the nuclear stuff.
That's what it is. Yeah. So before they didn't invent the transistor, they went hard on nuclear technology,
right?
And they were like, "We're going down this."
That's
path.
why everything's like Nuka-Cola, because the company, because the nuclear energy company makes other stuff.
Because everything's full of radiation.
Exactly. Right. Or like cars, for example. I think there's a point where you see like what would be a gas station, but it says like, it's very clear it's not fuel. It's like radioactive material to power up your car. Right. It's priced appropriately. So instead of it being like $1.95, it's like $350, but your car's going to run for 7 months or something like that. Like it's quite obvious. And the cars don't have engine noises. They go, they sound more electric and stuff like that. It's all, think 1950s, but equally everything is nuclear. It's a cool idea. It's a cool like tech branch. And it's also very iconic visually, but I think most importantly, I think you'd really enjoy the show. Yeah. It's written really well. The characters are really engaging, and they grow, and they're also not perfect. Lucy has problems. Max has problems.
Lucy's the main chick, right?
Yeah. So it's Lucy, Max, and Cooper.
Okay.
Cooper's sort of like a bounty hunter type guy who he has maybe like a third of the screen time of the main characters.
Is he the nose guy?
He's the ghoul. And Lucy and Max is the black guy, and Lucy obviously is the white girl.
He's in the power armor. I've seen that from the trailer.
They both have these like growing experiences where like neither of them are perfect, and they're not perfect by the end, and they come to terms with like different experiences and worlds, and they both grow. It's really interesting. It's really well done. It's really well done.
Good.
I think you'd really enjoy it.
I heard one stupid critique of it, but it was so stupid that everybody dogged on her.
What was it?
Essentially, it was some like man-hating feminist online and whatnot who said that Lucy was having such a great story and a great arc.
She does, yeah.
And I'm guessing towards the last part of the show, or the later half of the show, she has like a romance with one of the guys or something like that, or develops a relationship with one of the guys.
That is the worst way to explain something that's a very interesting character quirk for Lucy.
So they make it out to seem like, obviously I don't know anything about the show, right? But they make it out to be like, oh, she's fantastic and she does all these great things. Good, and the thing that detracts from her character, her whole thing that makes her less of a woman, or less of a character, less of an interesting person, is the fact that she has a romantic interest in a guy. And it's like,
not even close. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
See, everyone was like, wait a minute. So a woman is now less of a woman, or less of a person, a human in just because she has a relationship with somebody, because she has emotions and is attached to somebody.
Interestingly, the sort of romance and sex/sexuality stuff that's in it is incredibly well done.
Yeah.
And Lucy, by the way, tends to be like the driving force on that. Yeah. I think you'd find it really interesting. I think you'd really enjoy the show, and then once you watch all 8 episodes, you're going to come back and be like, that is the dumbest critique. How you got that is like you have to hate women and men to think that's what happened, because you missed the whole point.
That was the funny thing about that comment. Like, obviously I don't know about the show, so I can't really speak to that, but it was so, because clearly it was someone trying to take a dig at trying to say that like men ruin everything and all stuff like that, but really it was a backwards dig at women. It was like women that are interested in someone means that they're not really good people. It's like then they can't be interesting if they're interested in someone. Like 99.9% of women in the world. It's like, so all women are just trash then. Right, we got you.
This is so easily demolished.
Like, what a fucking disgusting thing to say to somebody.
I could easily demolish this by sort of explaining what happens, but I don't want to do that. It's not really spoilers, but I think you'd miss out on getting to like reflect on why these are good decisions for each of the characters. It makes so much more sense when you think back, oh yeah, that's right, because he was raised that way and she was raised this way. She actually says this, which makes sense for her to do that. Like, I really think you'd enjoy the show. It's really good.
I think
it's incredibly well written.
I think I'm going to check it out.
Also, by the way, there are some very brave decisions.
Between my Justice League watches.
Yeah. There are some very brave decisions about who the villain arcs are. Like the real overarching villain for the show and the the world, I guess. It's very interesting. It's very good. Like I said, it's not perfect. There are a couple of things that don't really make a lot of sense if you really think about it. And there's a couple of things that don't connect. Like maybe they shouldn't have just done that one bit and then this would make more sense. But overall, really good show. Really, really good. And incredibly well acted.
Are there bugs?
Yes, there are. There are giant cockroaches.
Oh no, not those kind of bugs. I'm talking about bugs in the TV show, because if it's a Bethesda game, there's bugs all over the shop.
Oh, with you. No, unfortunately, it just runs perfectly.
They deviated quite a lot from
away from the source material. Yeah.
Well, 0 out of 10, can't have it then.
Shit. Yeah, shit.
All right, bro.
Yes.
That's all the gaming news that we have to talk about this week. Thank you so much for joining us, guys, for this episode. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, subscribe if you're listening on podcast services, rate us a couple of stars over there. When I say a couple, I mean 5 specifically.
Remember to do the like and subscribe an hour and 20 in.
Right at the beginning. Thank you all for your support, and we'll catch you guys all in the next one. If you guys want to hear more about our lives and things like that, and
that's right.
and hear about funny jokes, we're going to be recording the Conbrosations podcast right now, which happens every other week.
Yeah,
so we tandem like that, and you can check that out. I'm going to be talking a ton of stuff that's been happening to me recently, so it's going to be a fun time. I think it's going to be a fun time. Thank you, bro, for joining me, and thank you guys.
Yeah, buddy.
Big boy Nuke.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about this prostate exam you were talking about.
I had to beg the doctor for it. It was
no,
it got a little awkward.
I was trying to throw you off.
I'm a professional, okay?
I had to beg the doctor for you. You know, you stole my thunder.